What up, though, people? We are live. It's your boy Brandon, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer at Woodward Sports. And it was not the results that we wanted tonight. 90-92 loss, Detroit Pistons to the LA Clippers. But you know what? They fought, man. They were super short-handed. You talking about no K, no Duran, no Tobias, no Stu. They still found a way to scrap this thing out. Now, they were leading, though, by as much as like 19, 20 points in this game. And they fumbled this thing down the stretch. It was about 4 minutes left to go. They had the lead, and I was sitting up in the 104 media over the visitors tunnel with like Sean Murphy, and I was also up there with Eric Vincent from Clutch Points, and that was what it was. We knew it was like, look, now they got to lock in. We saw Kawhi coming to the table with about 4 minutes left to go, and we knew they're going to run everything through Kawhi and James Harden, and it seems going to have to lock in if they were going to bring home a win, and they didn't. And you know what? This place was packed tonight. Like, I used to come to these arenas and be disappointed, like, especially last year when the Pistons were starting to get going. I would be disappointed on these Saturday nights when there'll be, like, nobody here. But I got video and such. I'm going to do a pod this week, a couple pods this week, actually, on Woodward Pistons, and try and get one off on Woodward Sports as well, where, like, I'm going to show you the videos, man. Like, everything is packed. All the way, I'm looking around right now, like, just as the gym is, people are starting to leave and take their final shots and everything. Shout out to the people. You know, they showed out and they showed up. Everything was packed all the way up to the rafters, man. And it felt, honestly, I'm going to say this, it felt almost like the Palace days, straight up. But this wasn't a good game. Now, I appreciate JB Bickerstaff's comments at the podium. He stepped to the podium and said this isn't one that he's gonna take as a negative result at all. You know, he's not going to take this as a bad thing, because you had a lot of guys who honestly played well above their pay grade, man. And that's the true identity of your squad. You wanted to come away with a win because they had 3 straight games now where their opponent was held under 100 points, man. But in this one, they didn't get the win. It looked like it was tailor-made for them. So I see people already in the chat. Shout out to you guys, man. John F. Lord, my guy, Mark Go Blue. Man, let me see who else is in here. Kevin Jeffries in the chat, man. I see some people are not the happiest about Jaden Ivey. This was a big opportunity for him to step up, but I believe it's going to take him about a good year. Seriously, like a good year to get things back going. I wanted to see what he had by the trade deadline, but stamina, getting back to the injury, getting comfortable again, getting that speed and that burst back, some of this stuff I don't think is going to happen for Jaden Ivey until after the offseason. He's found ways, though, to be effective in some games, but it's like hot or cold, and you don't know which Jaden Ivey you're going to get. And you know what? Talking about hot or cold, we got to talk about someone who did get the money, somebody we were supposed to be able to depend on. That is Duncan Robinson. And when Duncan Robinson is on, Duncan Robinson is good. The Pistons are good. But in that second half of the game, the defense stayed for the Detroit Pistons, but they couldn't get too much going in the half court of that fourth quarter. The LA Clippers started to really tighten up and toughen their defense. And it was like, that was it. You can kind of see as the lead slipped, the Pistons aren't solving their half court. So if Duncan Robinson's not hitting threes, then they were going to have this formula that was working for them. And that was a lot of high energy from Tolu Smith and Paul Reed in the front court, and a lot of downhill action and turning defense into offense from guys like Javonte Green, Ron Holland, and others. So, yeah, that was tough, man. I appreciate the fact that the NBA largely tonight, the refs largely let them play. But overall, man, this was I feel like it was a disappointing loss. I do. I know you wanted to be able to, have a character gutsy win and all that. I get JB Bickerstaff saying he was kind of cool with this one, and I am too. Like, you want to see your guys play like this, but you want to see them be able to close this game out. I think that the true test of this team, though, is how deep they are, that everybody plays the same. No matter who's in, no matter who's out, this team is still hustling. This team is still playing defense, and that'll probably be one of my biggest positive takeaways from this game. But part of me also just wants to beat the LA Clippers, and I get it. You're missing a lot of your guys tonight, so it's going to make it difficult. But this squad, man, I'm holding them to a little bit different expectation. Now, I want to get through this box score real quick before we wrap things up. It's going to be a little bit of a short post-game for tonight, especially following the loss. But Kawhi Leonard didn't score 55 points this time. Shout out, man. But he did get 26 points, still super efficient. Like, that guy is a machine. The shot form looks like a machine. Every time he shoots it, I'm surprised when he misses. And he didn't even really exert himself or overexert himself in the fourth quarter, which is just odd to me. He feels like it seems like he is just the absolute best offensive player on the Clippers, but they really just play a lot through James Harden, being able to try to initiate that contact, get to the free throw line, and see what happens there, man. But Kawhi Leonard, 26 points, 8 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 7 from behind the arc, 8 rebounds. John Collins, man, somebody who's been a target of a lot of Detroit Pistons fans through the years, back when he was on Atlanta Hawks, and then again when he was the Utah Jazz. He absolutely showed what he could do tonight. 25 points. He led the way, or just beyond Kawhi Leonard, 25 points in 37 minutes, 9 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, 7 rebounds for the big fella, man. Zubac, 17 points. It was all starters for the Clippers, man. That's why I'm reading there. Usually I don't really spend that much time on the opposing team's box score, but this one was one where they went everything through their starters. Zubac, 17 points, 69 from the field, 6 rebounds. And then James Harden, who they held in check relatively, 4 of 20 from the field, 19 points. But he had 7 rebounds, 7 assists in his activity and causing the Detroit Pistons to pick up a lot of fouls in that fourth quarter and down the stretch. That's what sunk the Pistons. James Harden in the fourth. And I guess that's why, if you're Ty Lue, that's probably why you play through James Harden as much as you do. You know, if you know that in the end of this game, you're going to need him to be active, you're going to need him to have some type of rhythm, and you're going to need him to be able to be a part of closing this game out, then I can understand it. But nothing else from the bench. You got 9 points from Miller off the bench, and literally nobody else scored off the Clippers bench, man. So it's tough. And I see you in a chat, Jack. He says, I guess we can't beat the Clippers, man. Something tells me if we would have had one of them starters, we win the game, but we already know about it. So that's why I'm trying to hold the team to a little bit different standard. And like I said, I appreciate JB Bigshot because his job is to go in there and see if his team met the mark and played above and beyond. And I think that they did that tonight. But you still want to see this team be able to have the opportunity to close this game out. I thought there were some good opportunities, and they cost themselves. If I thought that this was just the Clippers who went out there and just housed the Pistons, cool. You're playing with the lead, and you had some pretty careless turnovers and mistakes, and I know they'll be able to clean up on film later. And I think ultimately that's what cost them. Duncan Robinson going absolutely missing in the second half. He only had 1 shot attempt in the second half, and he missed it. 7 of 10 from the floor all night. 5 of 7 from behind the arc. 20 points in 28 minutes, and most people would think, hey, he had a pretty good game. When you go solid in that second half, man, that's ultimately what costs you, man. And shout out to, I see over there just across the way, you got James Harden who just came back out talking to his people, man. Trying to make sure you guys get to see the sights and the sounds a little bit while we're here. You got the people still out on the court. Before we get into this Pistons box score in full, you got James Harden over there with his people. Shout out. Shout out, man. Shout out to the fans, man, and the people, man. Anybody who ever gives a shout out, it's awesome. It's awesome, man. But got to get back into this Pistons box score before we pack it up here at LCA. Man. And shout out again to the Detroit Pistons fans for packing it up here. This environment is crazy. This environment is awesome, man. Like Woodward Avenue on a Saturday night. And honestly, LCA, any Pistons game now, it's absolutely packed, man. Absolutely packed. And, I'm about to answer this question before we get into the Pistons box score. He says, Brendan in the chat, when are we expecting the team back fully healthy? He said the bench played with a lot of heart tonight, but Ivy can't shoot, and we desperately need Cade and Durant back. We desperately do need the back. But here's the thing, man. They've found ways to be able to win without those guys. And I think that as many games as you can go with those guys being able to get ample rest, I think the better. I really do. You're looking at a team that you hope can play long into the playoffs. Just last year, when they were in that first round against the Knicks, you could tell those guys were gassed. They tried to get Cade Cunningham some of that load management towards the end of the season because they played so tough in the first half of the season to get to where they were at. But you couldn't afford to sit them there. But sitting him in the second half of the season as much as they did was a little stretch there where Marcus Sasser and then the shooter were able to kind of do their thing. I thought that broke a little bit of Cade Cunningham's all-star rhythm that he had built up. So this year I'm hoping that they can pick and choose their opportunities to be able to get Cade and Durant, who's had reoccurring ankle injuries throughout his career, and he's out with ankle injury right now. You want to get them some rest. With Cade Cunningham, it's really people are playing more physical with him. They just are. This isn't like, oh, Cade, just tweak something here, Cade, just tweak something there. It's not an Anthony Davis type situation with Cade. This is a situation where you see Cade going hard to the rack, and the first time that Cade missed time this year, what happened? Somebody knocked him out the air, and he fell on his tailbone. He got up and walked, finished, played a little bit, but missed the next 2 games, right? But that's what I want the organization to do, and this team has still been able to find the way to win it. Tonight, they just hit double-digit losses tonight, and they're like 3 or 4 games away from the halfway mark of the season. So this team has still found a way to rise above a lot of the injuries this year, and I think it's going to be for the better. Now, I would rather K be able to get his rest, just to get his rest, and not because why is he out now? Somebody else knocked him out the air. He fell on his wrist. In that same game, he also had somebody knee him in the gonad. So, it's been a year for him where if you were putting yourself on a map, people are going to test you like this. And that sucks, man, because this is our guy. But we know what the punishment, like our bad boys dished out, and that they were able to also take it. And these Detroit Pistons, who are second best team defensive rating wise in the NBA, they've been dishing out the physicality, and there's other teams who are going to dish it back out. Just in my opinion, I think it's just a little more reckless though. Cade is not just an all-star. Cade is an all-NBA player. Cade is not just a star. He's a superstar. Protect your stars. That's one thing I'll definitely say. Better protect your stars, because Cade is sitting out now for the second or third time this season just because somebody literally pushed him out of the air, dog. So it's like, hey, get that right, because it would have been nice to see Cade out there tonight, man. The fans packed it out, and I don't even know how many fans understood you were going to be missing, 4 starter-type players. I know Stu isn't a starter, but the impact he has is felt just the same. So, but let me get into this box score, man. The Wi-Fi here has been kind of weird, so my apologies if there's been anything wrong with the broadcast, man. And shout out to my guys, 2KG, Anton Wells, Jeff. I see you out there, man. Platte and all the guys that I covered this Pistons thing with here at Woodward Sports. It's been cool over the years to be able to kind of see Woodward Pistons and Woodward Sports grow through this, as the Detroit Pistons have grown too. So let me see here. Drake the Snake, he says, you happy and we had 4 starters out? You're a bum. I don't even know who he's talking to, man. I guess he's talking to my man. Say happy Saturday. Hello, everyone. For me personally, I wanted to be able to see the Pistons go out there and win this game, even with the starters out, man. But it's going to be interesting to see how they progress with this thing going forward, because the Pistons have been able to win a lot of games, no matter who's out there, dog. Cade out there. I think this might have been like the first game they lost without Cade in the lineup this year, and this might have been like their 4th or 5th game doing so. So let me get it. I see Drake the Snake. He says he is talking to the chat. I got you, bro. I was feeling a little hurt at first, but I'm like, hey, all opinions matter on this one, man. So we'll definitely show it up there. And let me see here before I get into the box score. I see you in the chat. He says, healthy Pistons got packed up at the Dome by 20. LOL, Clips, Pistons. The Clippers definitely got the Pistons number right now. But you got to understand something. You guys almost got packed up by the Pistons B or C squad tonight. And when you packed up the Pistons out there in Clipperland, it was also at a time where it's winter in the D. It's so cold in the D. And they out there right now. They were out there in L.A. I think they was enjoying it a little bit, man. They might have partied a little bit too hard the night before, because they definitely went out there and they got their get right against the Lakers. So for right now, though, we got to get the Clippers that, man. I definitely say they got the Pistons numbers. There's a couple teams in this league, like the Clippers, like the Utah Jazz, whether they suck or whether they're good, they just, for whatever reason, get a Detroit Pistons issues, man. So, and you know what? Before we get into this, I keep seeing chats that just pull me away from the box score, because I agree with this one, which I'm about to put up. Fast Day says, I would have loved to see Chaz Lanier get more run. Me too. I don't know how much worse on defense you're getting with Chaz Lanier out there over Duncan Robinson. I just don't. But I get it. The microwave ability to just turn it on and have it on for Duncan Robinson. Do you take him off the court? For me personally, there would have been some run in that third quarter or early in the fourth quarter what I would have tried to see what Chaz Lanier has, especially since recently he's found himself in a position where, hey, he's knocked down a couple of open shots. And his defense is scrappy. He has a nice wingspan, and he's not as scrawny or as, the draft profile made me believe we were going to get a guard on that perimeter who wasn't going to really be able to match him with maybe threes if he was switched out onto him. But I'm seeing a guy in, Chaz Lanier who I'm actually I want to see him, he can do a little bit more, especially when you're getting so much out of these other guys. You got Tolu Smith, as we get into the box score, went out there and got you 14 big rebounds. Straight out the G League, effectively, man. These guys have continued to stay ready, whether it's Danis Jenkins, Tolu Smith, or whoever else off that bench, man. But tonight, the Pistons had to run a starting lineup of Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Javonte Green, Paul Reed, and Duncan Robinson, and they almost took down the Clippers. They won't lose 98-92. It was their third straight opponent that they've held under 100 points, man. Duncan Robinson, we're going to recap that again. 20 points for him in 28 minutes, 7 of 10 from beyond 5 of 7 from beyond the arc, 7 of 10 from the floor, but only one field goal attempt, and he missed that one in the second half. Paul Reed, Played tough, man. Played tough. 8 points, 7 rebounds for him, 5 personal fouls, but 5 turnovers from the big fella. And a couple of those came in the fourth quarter, man. Javonte Green, 33 minutes. He played a lot tonight, and his energy was felt. 7 points, 7 rebounds. And he had 3 turnovers. The reason why I'm highlighting these turnovers is because some of these turnovers came during winning time. And that's why I'm like, look, I get it. They ain't had the guys out there tonight. It was missing 4 people that's like starter level. But this was a situation where I did believe. Hey, yeah, Woodward Sports. What up, though? What up, though? Thank you, brother. Thank you. Hey, y'all have a good night. Appreciate you, man. Hey, you know what? At least the families can come out and have a good night, man. Shout out to the families out there getting their shots in and everything. But oh man, I'm seeing some people in the chat. I see you, Vashawn. I see you, my guy, man. He says I'm sick tonight, fellas. Haven't felt this way in a while, man. You know, put those comments in the chat. I really want to know how you guys are feeling because I don't know, man, if it was just me, but I felt like this is one they should have won. Like there's a completely different expectation for these Detroit Pistons right now, man. So I want to see these guys win games like this tonight when it's in it. If they came out this game and you got Tolu Smith and these guys out there and you get run off the court in the first or second quarter, then you say, you know what, we get it. But if the identity of this team and you see JB Bickerstaff step to the table, one of the questions I asked him last game was about this. So if your identity is on being able to win games without your guys in there, you also have to be able to have a certain critique about it when you lose games, man. When you get to the playoffs, we can't have another year where we go, well, Isaiah Stewart got hurt, so that's the reason why we lost in the playoffs. You want to know that you got a squad that even if you lose some guys there, you can make it up, man. So, but yeah, man, let me see here. Oh, sheesh, man. Over Levert, who gave us nothing tonight, man. Look, I want to see these vets be able to get something going in the second half of the season, man, more consistently. I know these guys have done some things throughout the season, especially Dr. Robinson more than Levert, but you want to see them be able to get this thing in a little bit more consistently. But Javonte Green, Jaden Ivey, 8 points, 4 of 12 from the floor, 3 rebounds. He missed all of his 3-pointers, man. There's games where you see him go out there and he's hitting like 4 of 7 from behind the arc. Then there's games, probably a few too many of these games where it looks like this. I do believe you got a guy who's still looking for his stamina, still looking for his legs. He relies a lot on his spring and on his bounce and on that burst. And you're talking about a guy who just doesn't have that right now. There's a couple times he drove to the lane. I'm like, yo, if that was old Ivy, that's a shot. That's a make. That's at least a foul free throw attempt. But right now what we're seeing is a guy who I think without that, and it started to become very, very painfully obvious, he's having a hard time right now being able to generate that consistent offense, especially when the defense is allowing it. You saw the type of downhill action that guys like Ron Holland and Javonte Green were able to get on the rim, and Danis Jenkins. But Jaden Ivey, who's supposed to be and was better than all these guys at that, is having a difficult time. And so that's where I kind of stopped just short of the criticism in terms of being his game, because right now Jaden Ivey's having to learn how to play a different game. If this was who he was, you know, the lower speed, the lower burst, he didn't really rely on his athleticism, then yeah, he would have to become a more cerebral. I would have hoped that he would have been a more cerebral player by now. But now you're looking at a guy who's going to have to find a way to learn to become that. You know, you're not going to be able to rely on just being faster than somebody. You're not going to be able to rely on just getting downhill. Hey, what up, brother? Yep, got my guy Aaron over there, man. Hey, salute. Not the reason. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Woodward. What up, though?
What's up, Woodward
Hey,
Sports?
say what up, though.
What's up, Woodward Sports? Hey, everybody subscribe and watch this, bro. It's the best show in Detroit.
Let's rock. Appreciate you, man. All love, man. Hey, look, man, the fans are still, man, they like what they're saying out of these Detroit Pistons. You wanted a dub, man. You want a dub, though. I'm going to continue to say that. But with Jaden Ivey, I do believe this is something where it's tough because I don't know where his value is right now. I know there's some people who want to trade him and get the most that you can for him. There's some people who see that contract is on the way. But if this is a situation where you believe you can get him back with that speed and athleticism and that strength over the offseason, maybe there's something that you work out, and this is your sixth man of the future. I always had an eye for Jaden Ivey being able to start, but I also knew after the injury, or being in that co-star, but I also knew that after the injury, this was going to be a situation where Jaden Ivey was going to have much more uphill battle than just being consistent on the court every single night. I thought those first 17 games last year was dope. What was sports? What up, though? Hey, man. Shout out to all the Pistons fans. It's good to see you guys. I was commending the Pistons fans all night. And as you guys have been walking up, y'all been like, hey, what sports? So shout out to you guys, man. Got to get the people in the screen. But yeah, man, Jaden, that's the one for me, man. I felt like he was going to be able to be a ceiling raiser for this team if he could figure it out. And so I still have some hopes for him this season. Maybe the All-Star break will put him in a little bit of a position to where he's able to kind of rest, reload, get his legs underneath him a little bit. I don't expect old Jaden Ivey to return this season. I just don't. After what I've seen, I'm just locking it in. But I do expect for there to be some option for or opportunity for that Jaden Ivey to be here next year, man. But not the best game for him. And it was a good opportunity for him to be able to really, really show something. But still got just the 20 minutes tonight. Asar Thompson, 34 minutes. This is the one for me. This is the one for me. Like, if you're going to be upset at Jaden Ivey, I feel like, and I feel like Jeff is looking at me right now somewhere, man. Shout out to our TD for the in-studio watch parties and post games, Jeff. And shout out to Platte and Jeff for holding down the last watch party. It was my wife's birthday, so Queen, shout out Queen Kool-Aid. Happy birthday to you again, baby. Had to make sure that she was treated right on Wednesday, so that's why I missed that watch party and that post game. But this is one where I know Jeff is at home right now looking at the back box score and just shaking his head. Because down the stretch of that game is where, even though the defense was good, you would have liked to see Asar Thompson have a bigger impact defensively to be able to close that thing out. 34 minutes, 6 points, 3 of 6 shooting from the field. So he wasn't really forcing anything, but this was a night where you needed Asar Thompson to be that guy. We've seen games where Cade Cunningham didn't play and Asar Thompson was absolutely that guy. But on a game like tonight, it just didn't seem like he had it going, man, at all. Did get the 3 rebounds. He did get the 6 assists, but he had the 5 personal fouls, which also contributed to how aggressively Asar Thompson probably played that fourth quarter tonight, which you can't have. If your whole identity is built on aggression, if your whole identity is built on physicality and it's built on defense, you got to make sure you're in that position. These are going to be learning curves. These are things that more times than not, I'm looking at the game, I'm like, dang, man, Asar Thompson only got 3 fouls. This is stuff that hurt him last year. So you want to make sure that as you're going down the stretch of the season, mind you, we're 3-4 games away from the halfway mark, the 41-game mark of an 82-game season. These guys got to get it together. You're not trying to be a cute season. You're not trying to just kind of go into the playoffs and just win around. You are number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. You are the number 2 defensive rating team in the league. You just held 3 high-powered teams, offensively under 100 points in a row. You should have had 3 wins in that too. So that's for me. I'm gonna continue to tell you, man. I'm looking at the playoffs. I'm looking at what this team is showing us they can be, and we're hoping they go out there and continue to just push that medal. I hope that games like this agitate them. You look at the good, you take the positive. You know that you were shorthanded, but I hope these types of games agitate them in it when they get their guys back. When they hit that court the next time, they just hit the ground running, man. So, you know what, man? I think I saw something else in here I wanted to be able to do. Somebody saw, there it is. Drake believes Asar's not comfortable being a number 1 option. And that might be the case. I used to believe he had it in him because of the downhill ability. He had that athleticism. He could finish at the rim when he really has that kind of, I don't know if it's urgency or if it's belief. But largely what he was in Overtime Elite was, yes, point of attack guy, but he was trying to dish it. That's why Amin Thompson, you see, he's more of like, I'm trying to attack, I'm trying to dunk, I'm trying to score. Asar Thompson was more the facilitator on our team, dishing off to his brother Amin. That's coming to the league. So when you see everybody in there, when you see the shooters getting going and all that type of stuff, that game I was referencing from last year when he played against the Hawks, he had some shooters and some other people in there. In a game like tonight, when you don't got no shooters in there, and you don't have your Cade Cunningham in there, and you don't have the Jaden Ivey of last year in there, that changes things just a little bit for a guy like Asar Thompson, who I do believe has the skill set to be that number 1 type of option on a night like tonight, but he doesn't necessarily have that in his wheelhouse. These are things when you talk about young player development that you're hoping next year they can make certain types of jumps. Like Jalen Duren coming to the season, I don't know how many people believe that he was truly a max player type of guy. That 35, when we heard that 35 million a year mark come out, a lot of people are like, what? Like, we love you, JD, but seriously? Now there's a lot of people who understand that this is going to be something that is probably, if you get him for the 30, 35, it's probably going to be a discount for Jalen Duren. And he made that leap in 1 off season. Can Asar Thompson do that? Can Jaden Ivey coming back from injury do that? Those are two things that I'm going to be really, really keeping my eye out on. And it sucks because you have to get beyond these playoffs before you even start to look at what they can be next offseason. They got to make some leaps this season for this team to be able to capitalize, because nights like tonight, when you see, okay, you take away those four, and there's other nights where we've seen this team go in full strength and get waxed, down the stretch. You want to know if this team has everything from a pedigree standpoint, offensive standpoint, to be able to make something work, man. So a night like tonight is when I understand the people out there who talk about, and show that love for a MPJ. I see you there. I see you there, man. He says if we can get MPJ, that would be perfect. I'm not even going to be mad at it, man, at this point in time. I used to be like, nah, but I don't think that we can, like beggars could be choosers. I feel like this is a situation where, you know what, ultimately, if you can get a guy in here that can make some shots, you go in there. Now, if I can have my pick, it'd be Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy, you talking about his usage rate. MPJ is at a career high 31% usage rate. That's up from 20% last year. Now, he's never scored over 20 points per game in his career until after he went from 20% to 32% usage. Now, Trey Murphy, he's always sitting at about that 20% usage rate. This is his second season now averaging over 20 points per game. But at this point in time, if you can get either one of those guys, you're going to be in a pretty good position as a Detroit Pistons. Adding some scoring punch, adding some shooting punch. If you get a Trey Murphy, you're adding that defensive punch. All you got to hope for at that point in time, if it's an MPJ type of player, is he healthy? Is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to stay on the court? And at the end of games, and if that usage rate goes down where Cade Cunningham gets 32% usage, you guys got to know that MPJ is still going to be as effective a player and an off-ball shooter. Right now, he's getting everything. He's able to initiate the point of offense for himself rather than before because he's with the Nets now. When he was at the Denver Nuggets, no, he was playing off-ball. Is he willing to go back to that in a situation like this where you have a chance to win? You got to see. Now, with Trey Murphy, who's coming from a situation where it has not been roses at all for like his whole career, he might love to be able to come here and just fit in. And I do believe his type of game naturally just kind of just settles in, man. Shout out to the Pistons crew. They out here got all the fans off the court. They're about to start packing up things now. Y'all know we give y'all a little behind the scenes. And shout out to you guys who are here. I know it's not a lot of people tonight. But if you can, make sure you smash that like button before you go. But I'm going to get through the rest of this box score before we take off tonight and finish this post-game show. Off the bench, man, Tolu Smith, 26 minutes, 9 points, 1 of 7 from the floor. I thought that there were some times where he went up and he was getting fouled and wasn't getting it. Hey, that's the life of a player who generally is playing in the G League. You're not going to get those respect calls. And that, to me, I think is a travesty because he played his tail off. Straight up. 14 rebounds for the big man. And it was dope to see the Pistons send him out to the press conference tonight because, these guys don't get that many times to be able to go out there and talk about their performance at the NBA level. So shout out to the Pistons. But Ron Holland, I thought this was one of Ron Holland's best games in a long time. I do not care that he went 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. 6 of 15 field goals, 16 points for him, 6 rebounds, a lot of activity. He looked like himself in the third quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, he put on his own personal little dunk show as well. Had a couple breakaway dunks directly off of Detroit Pistons defense, turning defense into offense. That's something that they're going to have to continue to keep their identity, whether healthy or not, and especially when they're not healthy. That's where they really drove a lot of their offense after Duncan Robinson went cold. The second half was all about how their defense stepped up until it mattered most. That fourth quarter, when they started letting go a little bit, we saw them step back up, take the lead in that last 4 minutes. You saw a team that had the more experienced end of game players kind of pull away. So, Karis LeVert, he's an interesting one to me. 23 minutes. I'm sorry, didn't mean to scare y'all. 23 minutes, 8 points, 4-9 field goal tonight, but he missed all his 3-pointers. And that's a theme of tonight, man. Off that bench, almost everybody missed their threes tonight. Everybody. Like, everyone who shot for volume was terrible tonight, except Duncan Robinson, who just chose he didn't want to be able to catch that in the second half. So, Karis LeVert, though, 4 assists. I thought he just played his job. He just did his role. I know there's a lot of people probably want a little bit more out of Karis LeVert, but when you look at the times that he wasn't in the game in the second half and this team could not generate any offense, and when you realize why he's here. And I do believe that if he can catch a little bit more chemistry, catch a little bit more rhythm, times like tonight, more times than not, they're going to wind up being dubs. which we've seen this team have. We've seen this team have dubs shorthanded. And it's because of things like this. So I, I'm one of those guys on Karis LeVert that's just like, if you can get better than him, get better than him. But he's playing, 15, 20 minutes off your bench. Usage is not that high, and he's usually in there getting the ISO looks when the offense is just stagnant and you got like Cade and those guys getting a rest. So I'm not too high or too low on Karis LeVert right now. Marcus Sasser only got 7 minutes tonight, was 0-4 from the field, all 3-pointers, 3 assists. I don't think that that's using Marcus Sasser right. In a game like tonight where your offense was struggling and you got a guy like Marcus Sasser who's proven he can be a bucket in stretches, not even like a Danis Jenkins type. Danis Jenkins is just now starting to show that he can be that type of guy, and even time where he gets extended minutes, he doesn't go off offensively. Marcus Sasser, though, is a guy who, since he's been in the league, he has shown the spurts, and he has put together some good offensive tape. He's shot the ball well from the end arc, and when he has the ball and the ability to just kind of shake and rattle and roll a little bit, rather than being forced to be the outside shooter or the point guard, you know what I mean? He puts up good offensive numbers. He puts up good stats. So I'm hoping as this season progresses on between he and Jaden Ivey, you want to see these guys have a more direct line as it relates to the offense of sets that they're supposed to run on. Jaden Ivey, I think they got that figured out, and it's just more or less the athleticism and the lack of speed. But with Marcus Sasser, he just looks confused sometimes. Like, Marcus Sasser doesn't look good as a spot-up three-point shooter. He just doesn't. Marcus Sasser is a rhythm guy. And I get that if he's probably 4 or 5 more inches taller, he's probably the most perfect player for the style that he wants to play. But that doesn't mean that he can't play that. So I get the Clippers, they edged up their defense just a little bit in that second half. But I thought that if you're going to put somebody in a pick-and-roll game, Marcus Sasser can do that well, at least at 2 levels. The floater game, as well as with the step-back 3 game. So I don't know if he was necessarily used the right way. 7 minutes on a night where your team is shorthanded, I don't know. Maybe there's something a little bit more to it. Danis Jenkins, though, 21 minutes for him. He's doing tonight. He had 10 points, 3 of 8 shooting, 1 of 3 3-pointers, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and continues to be one of the best values and best secrets, probably not a secret anymore, in all in the NBA, man. So let me see here, man. I see you in the chat, Jen. But, hey, that's the game for tonight, man. The Detroit Pistons ultimately, they fought, they battled, they held another team to under 100 points, and they just got double-digit losses, so you don't crush them too much. Talk about some of the things to criticize because this is a squad that has, you know what, get to the NBA championship level expectation right now. You know, and shout out to you guys for being here tonight, man. I see you, Randall Swanson says, Kool-Aid, great to see you, bud. I wanted to be there last night, man, but you guys know, Friday night to Saturday night, man, I got some family and Sabbath observations. I was going to try and still stop by the Wicked Pickle to see the crew and everything, but got caught up a little bit with the family stuff, especially during Queen Kool-Aid's birthday week, man. It's a whole week celebration for it. But let me see here. I see you. I'm going to try and stay on for a little bit longer for the people that just kind of sneak in at the end. But the one age, he said, led the whole game, but slipped up in the last few minutes, shaking my head. No, they didn't slip up in the last few minutes. They lost the game in the last few minutes, but I saw them slip up, honestly, throughout that fourth quarter. They had a 19-point lead, and they just saw this thing slip and slip and slip, and you could tell it was because of the half-court offense just wasn't it. When you have Duncan Robinson go off in the first half for 20 points and literally nothing, no points scored in the second half, it's tough. It's tough for your offense. They had to rely on him. He was supposed to be the offense. When you don't have Tobias, when you don't have Cade, when you don't have Jalen Duren, you are relying on Duncan Robinson to go out there and be that guy. And so this was the one where in the first half you saw the team play very well, and the LA defense was scrambling. But as soon as the three-point shooting cooled off, nobody else tonight could make threes. Their defense was able to hone in, press up on the ball handlers, make them uncomfortable, and down the stretch, that's where they ultimately lost it. In which I agree with your comment at the one age, and they had some careless and some turnovers down the stretch. These are things that you hope these guys, when you talk about learning to take every possession and value it like it's the last. That's what you have to have in the playoffs, man. And that's what I'm hoping that you take these games right now when you can lose these and they're a minimal impact to your team from a negative standpoint, and you're able to use them as a teaching moment. You're able to show these guys, hey, look, man, if this was game 4, game 5, game 6, where we had these types of collapses against the Knicks, what was it, game 1 and game 5, was it, where the Pistons, I think, had those collapses? Like, you can't have that. You can't have that. And it came off of careless turnovers. They didn't just like all of a sudden forget how to play basketball. It's just they couldn't handle the pressure when they got turned up. And that's something that I'm hoping they learn right now. You're still in first place. You play shorthanded. You've lost some of these games even with your full roster. So, you got an opportunity. Let me see here. Drake, thank you, buddy. He said, great show, Kool-Aid. You have it down tonight. Hey, shout out, man. We got a lot of good people here at Wilbur Sports, man. And I'm appreciative to be able to run in my lane, man. Like JB says, people could be stars in their own lanes, man, if they just run it. And I appreciate all of you guys for being able to support over the years. This is season 5 for me on the Pistons beat, man. Season 5. And it's just now getting to that point where not like, okay, there's some promise, but like, yo, this is a real squad. This is a real squad. We get to be able to talk about them differently. Over the first 2 to 3 seasons, it was as related to them being rebuilt. And I know the enthusiasm and the encouragement and being able to kind of see beyond just the losing. Sometimes that can get on people's nerves after the organization has been losing for 15 years. But I saw something with the squad, especially when you got a guy, a number 1 draft pick in Cade Cunningham, who's one of those ultimate leaders and connector types. And now all of a sudden to see this thing starting to blossom and come into fruition, bro, it's absolutely amazing to see. And you know who deserves this more than anybody? The fans. The fans. They haven't jumped off the bandwagon. I was here. The Pistons were still pulling in. Top half of the league in attendance. I remember at their lowest, I think they might have dropped down to 19th in the league. They were losing 28 games in a row, but sitting at 19th in the league, still in attendance. Next year, they make the playoffs, get All-Star, get All-NBA, and you see the fans showed up. They've shown up. All they wanted was their squad to be able to come out and show that they could be a winner, regardless of any of the circumstances. And so that's what we've known these squads to be that have won traditionally. It doesn't matter about our circumstances. It doesn't matter how many stars are out there on the court. We're going to go out there and we're going to rise above. And so that's what they have to learn between now and this playoffs. And they got just over 42, 43 games left in the season. Guys, we're like at the halfway mark right now, man. And your Detroit Pistons are sitting number 1 in the East. They just literally held the Bulls and the Knicks under 100 points and back-to-back wins. Almost held another opponent under 100 and another dub. And they just let it go, man. So let me see if we got out here. We put some more comments up. Randall said he had a good time with Maz at Wicked Pickle too, man. Shout out to you guys who support Wilbur Sports in the show on Friday night too. But Fast Day says the bench players are not used to playing that many minutes. Now, yeah, you're right. Especially when the pressure turns up at the end of the games. Now you're all of a sudden finding yourself playing solely against your Kawhi Leonard, your James Hardens in that Clippers starting unit, which put a lot of pressure on the Pistons side, man. Robinson was a flamethrower. Oh my goodness. He's white, so he's only going to shoot. He figured him out and held him down in the second half. Y'all did figure him out. But he do got a little bit of what T. Foss, the legend, calls white boy wiggle, man. Duncan Robinson, I got faith in you, man. You're going to figure it out, bro. I feel you. Fazday says Clippers will be gone fishing soon or planting. So we got a little bit of back and forth between the Pistons fans and the Clippers fans in the chat, man. But one thing I know, hit that like button before y'all leave. Jen says, I'm hoping y'all Pistons come out the East and we run it in the NBA Finals. I'd rather see y'all up than the Celtics and the Diva Knicks. And I'm hoping that's where a lot of NBA fans are at. You talk about one of those teams, in my opinion, that is a top 3 league pass team in the league. It's the Detroit Pistons. They're young. They're exciting. They got young stars on the way. You know, if things work out a certain way, I don't know how with the new format of the All-Star game, if it leaves Jalen Duren just on the outside or not. But it's going to be interesting to see, man, how things go for this young squad who's just continued to play above expectation now for a second year in a row. And they're doing it largely with young players, man. I thought that there might have been some type of regression if you go and you lose some pedigree type vets from last year. You lost Malik Beasley. You lost Dennis Schroeder. And you lost Tim Hardaway from last year. Tim Hardaway was just in the finals before he came to the Pistons. So I thought, man, that's going to be impactful. Then you get Tobias Harris, who's not quite the same Tobias this year, missed a few more games. And so you got a squad that's realistically riding off the fact that, Cade Cunningham is the leader, and these young guys have followed suit. These young guys have made sure the improvement individually was going to be something that they took serious. And now you're seeing that pay out this year. I don't think that this team's offensive chemistry and cohesion is even there yet. I believe that now they're thriving off of the fact that they're trying to go out there and play harder than everybody every single night. But in the playoffs, you're going to have to make sure that your cohesion and your offensive chemistry is there. Because last year, they tried to play harder than a lot of other people. This year, they're just better than that. They're better at that this year. Their defense is better. The flow is better. Like, the hustle is better. It's just crazy. The problem is, though, in the playoffs, everybody takes it up a notch. So continue when you look at these Pistons team. Look, man, we can like a win. We can be mad at a loss. We won't get too high. We won't get too low. But keep it all within the expectation that this is a team who's proven that they're for real. They're not just, we zipped out to the number 1 seed and now we want to be like the Cavaliers and flame out early for the last few seasons. I don't think that's these Pistons, man. I'm going to continue to hold them to a standard that I believe is requisite for them. They are a real team. They are one of your top 5 teams in the NBA. That's what I believe. I never believed in the Cavs, even when they had the number 1 seed. I told people, don't have the makeup when the playoffs hit. People kept saying, no, man. Do you see him? Do you see they scoring? I don't care. But Evan Mobley, man, you crazy, a unicorn. I don't care. I don't care. If you don't have the right makeup, you're not making it through the playoffs. I've seen this for decades, bro. And I don't even want to date myself on my one little gray hair and my beard there. But I've seen this for decades. And no matter how the eras of NBA have changed, the playoffs have not. I promise you that. So the same recipes still fit. And this Pistons team does have that recipe, but you want to make sure that this squad can get the offensive chemistry going. Because why did the Knicks beat us last year in the playoffs? Ultimately, when the whistles were swallowed, when the physicality was turned up, they understood how to operate in the stretch and in the pressure. Jalen Brunson was going into these games, check the box score, and literally having like 1 turnover for the entire game. Why you got Asar Thompson draped over you playing some of the best defense people have seen on Jalen Brunson? It still didn't matter. They were polished. They understood how to play through that, and their offense didn't have the hiccups that the Detroit Pistons offense did when it mattered most. So, hey, look, man. Shout out to you guys for being here tonight, man. Shout out to Woodward Sports, Woodward Pistons. I will be doing some streams. Tap in with Woodward Sports tomorrow, okay? Look, we got some changes, man. We got some changes. We told you guys, Broder and I were trying to think of some ways that we can bring some more content to you guys, just like the old Woo Crew Wake Up Woodward, and we think we got that option, man. So Sundays, all right? We don't know if it's 8 to 10 or 8 to 9:30 yet. We probably just going to stay on there till 10. You got Broder, you got Kool-Aid, you got El Jefe, Jeff, and you got Crash Out Willie B on the desk. T-Foss will be back with us in August, and it's going to be T-Foss, Broder, and myself on the desk. So make sure you guys tap in. Tomorrow is the first day of the format change, and we'll see where things go from here. Maybe we take that pod, take that format, take that platform, and we take it to the moon, and we take Woodward, Wake Up Woodward, and put it back where it belongs, man. But we'll see what's up, man. Thank you guys for being here, for supporting. The Pistons do lose 98-92. It's a good effort, shorthanded, no Cade, no Tobias, no Duran, no Stu. They lose 98-92. They hold their third straight opponent under 100 points. Would have been nice to get that in a dub. Shout out to Tolo Smith, who is my player of the game. Was balling and hustling all night, man. And shout out to the fans who packed this thing out, bro. The fans are the MVP this season. Continue to show up. Continue to show up, man. I'm happy that you guys get a winner, man. I really am. So, hey, have a good night, man. Peace out, y'all.